I was once a young man. Actually, yeah, just end the video there. I was once a young man who swore up and down I would only drive manual transmission for the rest of my life. Well, I'm no longer a young man, and while I do enjoy driving manual on the weekend on a fun canyon drive, for daily driving purposes with a bad knee, give me an automatic. And it looks like that's what Toyota's doing. They're trying to appeal to old guys like me with this new automatic transmission GR Corolla. So what we're gonna be doing today is getting early access to a pre-production model GR. We're gonna briefly take a look outside and inside to see what they changed for 2025. We're gonna try and throw a bike in the back. Wait, no, we're not gonna do that. We already did that last time. But what we are gonna do is take this thing for a drive to see how the automatic changes the game. Let's talk about what they did for 2025, regardless of if you get manual or automatic. This has a revised front end. This is essentially a mid-cycle refresh, so they made the front bumper look a little bit different. They've tweaked some of the cooling, and with this automatic model, you actually get a trans cooler stock, which is something that is nice to have. This thing also gets a heads-up display, a slightly revised suspension with a rebound spring now in the shocks, and some suspension hardware changes in the rear, and a modification everyone can agree on: more boost. This makes the same amount of horsepower at 300, but it's up to 295 pound-feet of torque. That's actually the same number that was in the Morizo edition exclusively previously, but now basically it's in all the models. For 2025, you also get dual zone climate control, and here is the manual option. This feels like every other shifter in the Toyota space, but Toyota has completely revised this transmission compared to their 8-speed and other products. So let's take this thing for a drive and see what it's like. Before we talk transmission, power increase, and suspension change, let's check this out. It's been a couple months since I've driven the other GR Corolla that was a manual. So admittedly, some time has passed, but this does feel faster to me. Now, it's hard to say but dyno, but I mean, 20 pound-feet of torque is a significant increase in some ways. It's not insignificant, and it does seem like you feel it in the mid-range. This car is fast. Like it's faster than I remember, which is what leads me to believe that this power increase is real. And once again, it's a torque increase, not a horsepower increase, but man, it feels like there's a really meaty mid-range in this thing. And it's still, even though it's a mid-range, it does like to rev. Got a lot of snow melt today, so it's a little bit wet in some spots. We got to be careful. This car is really fun. The suspension changes, man, you'd probably have to drive the cars back to back to see if you notice any difference. I suspect it's going to be really hard to perceive any of those, the rebound spring that they put in the dampers, or, you know, they made some geometry changes as well. It's a fun road for second gear. The gearing is what I like about this. They kept it pretty close to what is in the manual car. You can almost do 60 miles an hour in second gear. Oh yeah, it's a little wet over here. So if we get the tires spinning. This car is fast, man. I mean, we're going uphill. This thing moves. So the transmission is obviously what everyone wants to know. Look, I like that they offer an automatic with this. It gives you an option, and it's not bad. Like it's not a dual clutch. So if you're coming into this thinking Golf R, dual clutch, it's just not that. But if you think about the Subaru, the WRX, which is a CVT automatic, it's way better than that. It's not the quickest shifts, but it's quick enough. It's quick enough to have fun. And what I like is the transmission, for the most part, listens to what you want to do. So I have this in my own custom mode, which allows you to adjust the throttle response and the steering. The suspension is, you know, it's passive, so you can't change it. But like, All right, so second gear pull here. You hear that? You hear me hit the red line? It doesn't automatically upshift. And that's something a lot of Toyotas have done in the past, where it doesn't listen to your commands. Now, assuming you have the revs, that was a 7,000 RPM downshift. So a good transmission, and I always say this, a good automatic transmission just does what you tell it to do within, of course, the realms of possibility. Like, you shouldn't be able to downshift into, past the red line and essentially money shift the car. So it's pretty impressive what they've been able to do here, because what's good about this transmission is that on a day-to-day basis, it's very livable. Like, since it is a regular torque converted automatic, it's extremely smooth. It does all the regular things right. And then when you come up on the canyon road, it's responsive enough. It doesn't, it gives you a little bit of a kick when you shift. Like, that's what these new automatics, they kind of do that, give you a kick in the pants when you shift. It's not like a dual clutch or a DSG gearbox, but it's fun, man. I really do like it, and it adds a different dimension to this car. We've talked about in the past, there's an obvious comparison with this and the Type R, the Honda Civic Type R. And this Honda Civic Type R is a very serious car. And you know what? Frankly, we could barely do what we're doing today in the Civic Type R, because that car has tires that are so affected by the cold, and it's putting all 300 horsepower to the front wheels. And that car torque steers like crazy. It's really rewarding to drive when you drive it well. But when the tires are cold, when the road is cold, when the ambient air temperature is cold, and you put the foot down, the car just tries to drive everywhere. This car is so much more stable in that regard. And I guess the nice part is with this automatic is that you have options. The Civic Type R only comes in a manual, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Love manual transmissions. But it's nice to have options too. And while you can get this car in a manual, now you can get it in automatic. And I think that is another thing that makes this a compelling package. And once again, because it's not a bad automatic. It's not like they just kind of phoned in one of their crappy autos from their Camry or something. It's responsive. It shifts well. And these pedals aren't bad either. They're not metal, it's not like a Porsche or some exotic car that has a super, super satisfying click. It's satisfying enough. It's a good time. You can have a good time in a manual car on this road, but this transmission responds well enough that you kind of just you could hear me just I'm just playing back and forth with these gears, because you can. And you get the turbocharged noises.
Turn left.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go on a little bit of a different road here. But look, end of the day, I think they've done a fantastic job introducing an automatic. It gives you options in the space. It's not a joke. It's not a CVT automatic. It's a legit one. And I think it still gives you all the characters that you want out of this car. This is almost more of a rally car to me than it is kind of your street fighter type, only driven on the road. It's got some character to it. And that's what I like about it compared to the Civic Type R, is that this 3-cylinder engine has character, a lot more so than I've seen with, the Civic Type R, which is just a little more clinical to me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm glad that Toyota is offering an automatic with this thing, and you can make the decision for yourself. So if you made it this far in the video, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.